The evidence suggests to many, including 2 judges who have reviewed the case, that Eric Riddick has spent 26 years in prison for a murder he couldn't have committed.
I definitely have felt so overwhelmed and cheated in these last 26 years.
Cheated, Riddick's mother Christine says, because in the eyes of the law, what many see as proof of innocence doesn't apply in Riddick's case. To understand why, you have to go back to 1992, when Riddick was sentenced to life for the murder of his childhood friend, Will Catlett. Did you kill Will Catlett?
Absolutely not, Lester.
I spoke with Riddick from a Pennsylvania prison.
I've never, ever taken a human life.
It was the testimony of a single eyewitness that landed Riddick in prison, Sean Stevenson, who told police he saw Riddick fire a rifle from an elevated fire escape. But Riddick claimed he was 2 blocks away with a few friends at the time of the killing.
It was early in the evening. We was hanging out, sitting on the steps.
Justine Dawson and Lewis Jordan backed his story.
I was sitting right here. Eric was like right over here.
But Riddick's alibi witnesses were never called to testify. He says his court-appointed attorney, who declined to comment to us, opted not to put on a defense.
He was right here with us. That's how I understand how he got involved in that.
The proof is right here.
For years, Riddick's mother has battled on his behalf, getting the attention of Philadelphia Councilman David O.
Evidence is very clear that Eric Riddick did not commit this crime.
The councilman discovered recently analyzed forensic evidence showing that the wounds to the victim prove the shots could not have come from an elevated fire escape.
The entry wound was from an upward firing. It was below to up and not top to down. And so that scientific evidence refutes that Eric Riddick could have been the shooter.
But perhaps most important, he says, was this affidavit signed in 1999 by that eyewitness, recanting Sean Stevenson falsely accused Eric Riddick. But by the time Riddick filed an appeal, it was too late. He says he didn't physically receive the affidavit until 2003, and Pennsylvania law requires new evidence must be filed within 60 days of being discovered, or it can't be considered. Last December, 2 of the judges who denied his appeal wrote, "It is clear to all that it is likely that an innocent man sits behind bars for no better reason than a poorly conceived statute." What was it like for you to read those words?
I looked at it immediately as a blessing, because I fought for so many years.
Yet Riddick still sits in prison. Councilman O says it's all because of a missed deadline.
Evidence that demonstrates that a person is not guilty should always be material.
The family of victim Will Catlett is still grieving his loss and continues to believe Riddick is the murderer. But Riddick tells us he will not stop fighting for his freedom.
It's been a long fight.
And neither will his mother.
I feel robbed for myself and I feel robbed for him.
Last week, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court denied Riddick's appeal. His hopes now rest in the hands of the Philadelphia District Attorney and his new Conviction Integrity Unit, which is reviewing the case.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.